Everyone, including me, has been talking about how this class of 2024 is very weak, and some of you have been very upset. But hey, it wasn't just me. The scouts and experts have also made a special point of emphasizing that this draft was not the best, again and again and again.
The Atlanta Hawks select Zachary Rizache.
Now, if time has taught us anything, it's that you should never judge a book by its cover. You are right about one thing. Every draft has talent all over the place, with players who can exceed expectations in the lottery, first round and second round. And this one, while weak, is no exception. That's why scouts and GMs study every detail of prospects with a magnifying glass to try to find a player with that winning gene. That player worth investing a losing season for. And today I'm going to play GM. After a lot of study, these are the 3 prospects that I consider to have better qualities than many in their class, either by potential, by immediate impact, or by a number of factors such as intangibles. But these are, in my opinion, the 3 prospects that can save the 2024 draft class. So, let's see if this time you think the same as me. There are many reasons why Reed Sheppard was picked 3rd overall in the 2024 draft. A somewhat risky bet for a franchise like the Houston Rockets, who are desperate to make moves that will get them closer to playoff contention in the always tough West Conference. That's why last season they signed Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks to huge contracts, because they are a team that needs to compete now. That's why Sheppard's situation is going to be very different from the rest of the rookies in his class, who in many cases are going to be in an environment with much less pressure. But how can I put it? Sheppard is perhaps the most efficient shooter I've ever seen.
Wiley bet almost. Look at this shot.
Yes, I know that's blasphemy, having seen Steph Curry's entire career with my own eyes, but the data says so. The only reason Reed doesn't have the best three-point percentage in NCAA history is because to qualify, you need to have made at least 200 three-pointers, something that is not feasible in a season that barely goes over 30 games. Being a one-and-done, Sheppard has not qualified for that record, but to put things in context, Steph Curry is the player with the best three-point percentage in league history. In his best season at Davidson, he shot 49% from the three-point line. Reed shot 52% on 144 attempts last season at Kentucky. Just crazy. In certain ways, including his form and shot selection, Sheppard is reminiscent of a very similar profile to J.J. Redick. He likes the catch and shoot, is good at taking short dribbles to generate his shot, and has good elevation. But Reed is a prospect that offers much more. His ball handling can allow him to play the one in the NBA, being a more than decent passer. But what is most surprising about Sheppard is the fact that he is a completely disruptive defensive player. He has one of the best deflections and steals ratings in all of college basketball. Despite that, his lack height may give him some problems at the next level, especially considering that the guards are getting bigger every year. Whether as a spark plug off the bench or as a starter at best, Reed has the potential to make an immediate impact in the NBA.
Comes down with it. And scores!
And his ceiling, in my opinion, is really high. Another player I'm betting on without any doubt is Rob Dillingham. I mean, if we talk about talent, Rob is probably the best player in the whole class. I still remember his viral videos on Overtime Elite, where he took over games with a style and aesthetics that looked like something out of a video game. By the way, he was also a member of Kanye West's Donda Academy just before, but skills-wise, Dillingham is one of the best prospects of recent times. His problem is basically the same as Sheppard. Rob is an even smaller guard than Sheppard, and that's basically the only reason why Dillingham fell to the 8th pick in the draft just a few days ago. Interestingly enough, Rob had a similar role to Reed on the same team, coming off the bench all season for the University of Kentucky.
The San Antonio Spurs select Rob Dillingham from the University of Kentucky.
But on draft night, the Minnesota Timberwolves decided to take a gamble on him, trading future draft capital to get the 8th pick, which was at the time owned by the San Antonio Spurs. Also, like Reed, Dillingham does not come into a team under construction. The Timberwolves are a team that has reached the conference finals this season by exceeding all expectations, and they need immediate impact players. With his incredible scoring ability and good efficiency, Dillingham is a player capable of scoring from all three levels and has averaged 15 points in just 23 minutes of play per game in Division I basketball. He is also, in my opinion, the best ball handler in the draft, who has also shown good passing ability. It is to be expected that he will have some defensive problems with his current frame, that he will have fixed by adding some weight over time, but at the same time, he is a tremendously difficult player to defend. With Mike Conley's retirement looming, the Wolves needed a player on a cheap contract who can learn guard duties. And while Mike and Rob may not be much alike in style of play, the fast pace he can offer can benefit a team that has some of the best athleticism in the league, such as Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels on its roster. And finally, the third prospect I want to talk about today is none other than Dalton Knecht.
The Los Angeles Lakers select Dalton Knecht from the University of Tennessee.
A 6'6" guard who ended up being selected by the Lakers in the 17th pick of the 2024 draft, and whose path to the NBA is one of the most special anyone has ever seen. In the 1920 and 2021 seasons, Knecht didn't even play Division I basketball. He played in a junior college until his junior year, where he finally found a spot at the University of Northern Colorado. There, in just 1 year, he became an absolute NCAA star before playing for Tennessee in his rare second junior year. Yeah, Dalton is much older than virtually every player in his class. He's 23 years old instead of the 19 or 20 that Sheppard or Dillingham are. But that also has its advantages. The Lakers got with a non-lottery pick, a guard whose skill set is more than ready for the NBA. He is a great shooter, an explosive driver, and a very efficient scorer. In addition, his size will allow him to develop into a big guard by the standards of the best basketball league in the world. Dalton also has sneaky athleticism that makes him a tremendously dangerous player, but for whatever reason, he hasn't developed as much as a defender. That is his main weakness. Knecht is going to have to improve on that side of the court if he wants to crack the rotation on a team that aspires, even if it has little chance of doing so, to fight for a ring. And everyone knows that in the NBA, offense wins games, but defense wins championships. Dalton will also have to work on his playmaking if he wants to have a long career in the league.
For size and through some contact.
Although on the Lakers, he will probably be a pure scorer off the bench. Immediate impact? Certainly possible, but the truth is that the Lakers have been on point with some draft selections lately. Keep in mind that the Lakers have been one of those teams hurt by the new CBA and also have not been able to make big additions during free agency, so he will almost certainly get the minutes to show what he is capable of. At 23, Dalton may not have one of the highest ceilings of all the prospects in the draft, but what is completely irrefutable is that the Tennessee guard also has one of the highest floors of his entire class. If you're a betting man, I wouldn't say that one of these three players is going to contend for the Rookie of the Year trophy either. Basically because if there's one thing all three players have in common, it's that they all landed in projects that are already trying to compete. Other players like Alexander Sarr will be able to play as they please in Washington, where they can enjoy the feeling of being one of the most important pieces of the team from the beginning, in a franchise that is already looking for the next lottery. But at the same time, Dillingham, Sheppard, and Knecht have the opportunity to be impactful players in a much more difficult environment, something that in the modern NBA is highly valued. Now, only time will tell what these three players are capable of. Three of the best pure talents in the draft with different skill sets that, however, have many similarities. But who, in my opinion, has the quality and potential to wreak havoc in the NBA?